profit.
That show you all the ones that's supposed to be leaders in the vineyard are messed up themselves, aren't they? So the vineyard didn't have no choice but to be messed up if the ones who supposed to really be the caretakers of the vineyard for the Lord, if they messed up, hey, the vineyard was in trouble to start with, wasn't it? That's why it went the wrong way in a hurry. Because the priest said, "Not where's the Lord?" and they that handle the law knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal. See, they call themselves prophesying, but they prophesied according to some false god and his doctrine. And walked after things that do not profit. But skip down now to verse 21. And let's see the result again. Go ahead.
Yet I planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me?
See, he keep comparing Israel to this vine, this vineyard, don't he? He said the pastors and the priests and the prophets, all of them are lying and going the wrong way. That's what got the vineyard in trouble. Then he compared it all to a vineyard. He said, yet I planted thee a noble vine. He said, look, when I planted you in the first place, I gave you all the things that you need to do the right thing. Gave you a righteous and holy law. Just like to this day, you got the Sabbath day in the Bible, but all the pastors got people going to church on Sunday, don't they? You got the feast days, the holy days in the Bible, but all the pastors and priests and prophets, they talking about man's holidays. You got the dietary law in the Bible, but the preachers say you don't need that. You can just pray over it. See, that's the same old story as it was right here. He said, yet I planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? He said, how did it happen? Skip down to verse 30. But we know, he know how it happened because he just told you about the past. He just said, look, I did everything right though. Verse 30.
In vain have I smitten your children. They receive no correction. Your own sword hath devoured your prophets like a destroying lion.
See, he said, look, I've been beating you down and beating you down. And the Lord's still beating us down to this day. And it seems like it's all in vain, isn't it? Because we still won't listen. That's why in Isaiah 1, he said, the ox knoweth his owner, the ass knoweth his master's crib, but Israel don't know and don't consider. And he said, look, it seemed useless to even stricken you anymore. Why should I stricken you anymore? Because you just revolt more and more. See, we still worse than we used to be after all the punishment that the Lord had put on us. So he said, it seemed in vain. I done smote you in vain. You don't receive no correction. And your sword hath devoured your prophets like a devouring lion. So anybody that come and tell the truth in the vineyard, hey, they get rid of him with the sword. They kill them. So the vineyard can never get straight. Because the Lord is merciful to send you somebody to help straighten the vineyard out, but they don't listen. They'll never listen. Skip down to verse 33 and let's show you what else this vineyard done. Go ahead.
Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love?
We always seeking love, but go ahead.
Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways.
See, we want to be around everybody else and be around them, and we only messing them up. He said, therefore, even the ones that's wicked, he said, therefore you taught the wicked ones their way. Because see, he said, look, they wouldn't even be wicked if it wasn't for you. Because if Israel would have did right, then everybody else would be right. Because they would have learned from us. And they still going to have to learn from us in the end, but it wouldn't have had to be messed up like it is. So he told you, therefore hast thou taught the wicked ones thy ways. So we didn't show them how to go against God. We didn't show them, look, you can get the word from God and you can still turn and serve other gods. That's a bad example. That's why the Lord said, look, I'm going to punish you for all your iniquities. So he said, look, you gave him a bad example, but I'm going to give him a good example. I'm going to show him, look, if you go against me, you're going to suffer. Because nobody has suffered like us. But now, let's go. We're going to come back to Jeremiah. Let's go to the New Testament. Go to Matthew 21. Because somebody would say, well, you just reading the Old Testament. You reading about that old vineyard back there. We don't have to worry about that. We got Christ now. We ain't got to worry about the bad vineyard that messed up. Yeah, we know Israel messed up back then. We already know that, brother. I can hear people saying that. So we got Jesus now. He not worried about no messed up vineyard. He come to save us, and the whole church will go crazy. Well, let's see what Jesus said if he was concerned about this messed up vineyard. Matthew 21 and verse 33. Matthew 21 and verse 33. Go ahead.
Hear another parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard.
Oh, sound like the same thing we've been reading about, right? Now, either Jesus gonna give us this magical sunshine vineyard. That's what the average person who believes in Jesus would make you think right off the bat, right? When it comes to Jesus, hey, you ain't got to worry about that negativity. The sun is shining, the birds is chirping, it's all good. It's all good in the hood. Well, let's see if Jesus is going to give you this magical story or if he's going to be in line with what we've been reading about this messed up vineyard, this vineyard that went against the Lord and the Lord is paying it. He telling us about it, right? He said, here another parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard. We got a vineyard again. Go ahead.
And hedged it round about, and digged a wine press in it, and built a tower, and let it out to husbandmen, and went into a far country.
See, if you pay attention, this sounds just like Isaiah 5. Sounds just like Isaiah 5. The vineyard, the householder planted a vineyard, he hedged it about, he hooked it up, he digged a wine press in it, and built a tower. But Jesus told you something else. He said, he let it out to husbandman. See, it didn't mention that in Isaiah, but we got the inference because he told you that the priests and the pastors and Jeremiah and the prophets, all of them have messed up this noble vine. So Jesus including the whole story. So he let it out to husbandmen and went into a far country. Let's get the bad news now. Go ahead.
34. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen that they might receive the fruits thereof.
Okay, go ahead.
And the husbandmen took his servants and beat one and killed another and stoned another.
Don't sound like no beautiful story, do it? Now it sounds like what Jeremiah just was telling us. We just read in Jeremiah, he said, you didn't turn, I planted you a noble vine, and how did you turn into this degenerate plant? And he told you about the priests and the ones that handle the law don't know the Lord. The prophets lying, all of them lying. And then he said something else. He said, you have taught the wicked ones your ways, and also he said, your own sword have devoured your prophets. So this is what Jesus is saying right here. He said when he sent the husbandmen, when he sent his servants to the husbandmen, in other words, he got some servants that come to the people that's running the vineyard. When he sent them to them, that they can get the fruits, at verse 35, he said the husbandmen took his servants and they beat one, killed another, and stoned another. This is bad news in the vineyard, brothers and sisters. Go ahead, verse 36.
Again, he sent other servants more than the first, and they did unto them likewise.
And it only got worse. It didn't get no better. But this is not a pretty story. See, we go to church and we listen to the preacher giving us a pretty story, and we leave thinking it's all okay in the world, all these great preachers, these great men of God. I get sick at the stomach hearing people talking about these great men of God who ain't doing nothing but lying through their teeth. Oh, he's a man of God. And all these churches, look, if all of these churches were really serving God, and if all these preachers were men of God, the world would be a better place. But no, the world is in bad shape because the vineyard has messed up and is polluted. So, and when the Lord sends somebody to straighten it out, this is what they get. He said in verse 36, and again he sent other servants more than the first, and they did unto them likewise. Verse 37, go ahead.
But last of